Part 1. In the heart of a decaying American city, where ambition clashed with despair, Luke Morgan met Elizabeth Beth Tanner long before their lives would tangle with a greater cause. Luke, a suave nightclub owner with a silver tongue and a shadowy past, spotted Beth at a bar, a ranching heiress with a spine of iron and a gaze that could cut glass. He saw a spark in her and decided he'd win her over. With his charm dialed up, he leaned in close and said, "Beth, you're the real deal. Whatever you dream, I'm in." She shared her vision. A fight against the Syndicate, a clique of old money tycoons led by Victor Grayson, who bled the city dry with greed. Luke nodded, spinning half-truths about his connections to back her up, anything to see her smile. Beth, tough but lonely, fell for him, his lies weaving a fragile thread of trust. But Luke's circle, Robert Bobby Anders, a Wall Street shark, Ethan Miles, a tech mogul with wild dreams, Donald Don Travis, the bombastic president, and Brian Wade, a brooding vigilante, saw through his game. One night, over beers at Luke's club, Bobby slammed his glass down. "You're lying to her, Luke. You don't give a damn about the Syndicate. You just want her." Ethan frowned. Brian's silence burned, and even Don muttered, "Bad move, pal." Beth overheard from the bar, her face hardening as the truth sank in. She stormed over, threw Luke's jacket in his face, and spat, "You're a fraud. We're done." She walked out, leaving her dream of fighting corruption behind, retreating to a quiet life beyond the city's reach. Luke's guilt gnawed at him. He'd lost her, but her idea stuck. He gathered his friends, Bobby, Ethan, Don, and Brian, and said, "Beth was right. We've got the power to stop the Syndicate. Let's do it. For her, for the city." They agreed, naming their alliance the Covenant, a word Beth had once used when she dreamed aloud with Luke. They got to work, driven by her vision, even without her. Luke dove into Victor's world, sipping whiskey at galas to unravel his network, his charm masking a hollow ache. Bobby hunched over laptops in his penthouse, tracing dirty money, his trembling fingers haunted by his own past deals. Ethan paced his lab, rigging drones to spy on the Syndicate, his manic energy tinged with dread. Don stormed the airwaves from the White House, rallying the public with fiery speeches, his bravado hiding doubt. Brian slipped through alleys, breaking kneecaps and planting bugs, his silence a shield for his pain. Beth, now isolated in a small apartment, watched the Covenant's moves online. News clips of their raids, Victor's schemes crumbling. Her chain smoking filled the room as pride battled bitterness. Bobby tracked her down, knocking on her door. "Beth, we're doing it. Your plan. We need you." She hesitated, then agreed, craving purpose again. She arrived at their gritty hideout, a warehouse pulsing with energy, ready to lead, until she saw Luke. Her eyes blazed. "You," she hissed, turning to leave. Luke dropped to his knees, voice raw. "Beth, I messed up. I lied, but I'm here now. For real. Forgive me." Bobby shifted uncomfortably. Ethan looked away. Don coughed, and Brian stayed stone still. Beth's hands shook, rage and hurt colliding. "I trusted you once. Never again," she said, her voice breaking as she walked out. Luke pleaded after her. "I'll prove it. Every day, I'll prove it." But her silhouette faded into the night. Gone, bruised, but unbroken. At a glitzy charity gala, Victor's gentrification scheme hung in the balance. Luke exposed his lies to the crowd, his voice cracking with rare truth. Bobby triggered a financial collapse of Victor's empire, sweat beading on his brow. Ethan hacked screens to show drone footage of the Syndicate's crimes, exhaustion in his triumph. Don turned the night into a populist crusade from the podium, while Brian dismantled Victor's security in a blur of fists and shadows. Victor's world shattered, his allies fleeing as the city woke up. Beth watched the live stream from her apartment, cigarette burning low, tears streaking her face. The Covenant had won, her dream realized without her. Luke left voicemails she never answered. "I'm sorry. I'll keep fighting for you." Bobby sketched plans to rebuild. Ethan tinkered with hope. Don grinned for cameras, and Brian, to earn her trust someday, vanished into the dark. The covenant endured, their bond forged in defiance and regret. Beth stayed apart, unable to bridge the gap Luke's betrayal had carved. He poured a drink, staring at her number on his phone, vowing the city breathed easier. But for Luke and Beth, the story lingered, unfinished,